international LAN with their most played map from the regular season.
And it's international in some case, but also they're playing from home, so they do have home term advantage against TSM today. This is going to be a tough ask. I think for Roy that was asking at the desk, is experience important on the stage? I think it is, because if you're looking at it from Vora, Alvin Boy, and Timotino, it's their first time here. So they're going to have to rely on the experience from GMD and from Seven, and as well as Coach MBS to make sure that they could be comfortable playing on the stage.
Kind of with the desk highlight, the difference between those duelists, the two flashes with the Yoru and the Breach versus maybe a bit more speed with the Jet. But we'll be watching to see how Stella puts their mark down onto C and already cutting deep and maybe getting towards a flank position. Stella already trying to scratch towards the back of the defenses, but TSM just hold the wall and off the pistol. The knife kill on the very first round. That is insane.
Yeah, and he already has spiked down too. If anything, though, TSM looked amazing to fight back. And I love that we're kicking off this game with the rookie on the stage getting knifed, Alvin Boy, but they're all laughing about it because it didn't matter. The rotations are perfect. The shots were even perfect on the rotates from the A site to B. It almost looks like Stella at the beginning of this round wanted to go for some sort of aggression of a fake C control. So they control garage, control the B site, and then they could split back into B. But look at how passively you played from Alvin Boy. He heard the noise. He played soft site. He won his 1v1, got traded after, but then everything else on the B side was well contained. So TSM looks pretty good, at least to kick things off. And this is to maybe some surprise to others. Remember, this TSM is the #1 seed coming in from North America after beating teams like Envy in the first place and Cubert Academy. And now Nico, TSM, you see from Stellar just getting owned.
Yeah. That's all this is going to be. And TSM went from being this wild card to kind of what Roy said, becoming this powerhouse, being the favorites, being a top seed, and see how many weapons they can carry into the bonus. But so far, Stella are not going to be able to make too much of a dent here into B.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the history of TSM a little bit here, I want to touch upon last year and even this year. Because you look at 2024, TSM was in the same kind of boat. Kind of like a gatekeeping team, finishing like often 4th seed in all of these splits. But when it comes down to the playoffs, trying to qualify for Ascension, they lose the upper bracket. Think about the first one against M80 in round #1. Then they go into the lower bracket gauntlet, beating teams like MXS, Oxygen Gaming that has Bonkar as the current energy coach, and then qualifying to Ascension. And then you look at it this year, similar fashion. They get owned by Envy, they go into the lower bracket run, and they win it this time around. So they do have resiliency, and now they show it in this matchup for this 3rd round as they push up on this A ramp.
Man, the counter aggression from TSM just immediately striking at Stella before they could even really develop this A plan. And Bora is able to just keep on scrapping at close range. And man, what a lightning fast round out of TSM.
You're just looking at TSM so far in the last 3 rounds being perfect in their positioning, anticipating where Stella is going to be hitting. Like if you're looking at it, as soon as we get into the round, it's already over, because anybody that's trying to scale up, whether it's on the pistol round or on their eco, and this time in their gun round, look, they're getting hit by paranoia, aftershock, stuns. Everybody's in position here for TSM that wanted to just fight aggressively and to change the style because they were more reactive in the first 2 rounds. They want to be more active on their bonus, and they just really caught Stella off guard. This puts him back on the eco now for Stella.
Oh, I'm really loving the energy on the stage, and you're even hearing it from the players. Like, playing on stage is so much more fun. Definitely saw those tweets, at least from Envy on the other side from yesterday. But Stella now just definitely being more aware of whenever TSM want to take that early initiative, but also TSM wanting to be aware of the flashes that could be coming their way. But Timotino finds a double kill. Look at the timing, the flash assassinates Zanatsu on the approach, and this is turning into be a bloodbath and maybe even a flawless, as just the sheriff left here from Guy.
And that's what I wanted to look for as well for Timotino. He's the star duelist right now for TSM, trying to fill in the shoes of of Sim in the past, who's been so good for TSM earlier on. And it kind of ties a bow as well to TSM's performances going to Ascension, because when they made it last year, they did not have a good group stages. They bombed out, although some of the games went into a lot of overtimes against teams like 2G, or Galoris, should I say, in 2G as well. But now that Timotino is filling in those shoes, look at how he fills them perfectly. Avoids this flash, gets the 3rd kill with the shorty, and he's just playing like as if he's in the comfort of his own home back in Montreal.
See that TSM already sound really synced together too. 7-1 for Timotino, our Canadian superstar, and it's not about him filling anybody's shoes anymore. Like, he's the one creasing everyone's Jordans on the other side, and TSM coming in with all this confidence. You don't have to doubt them anymore, but the hesitation, as soon as Timotino turns his back, he gets shot in his back, and that's maybe the first advantage we could see Stella work with.
This is where TSM also shines. You see now 7 with this Odin in this round number 5, and this is something that TSM has changed a bit. You may look at this composition as the most standard as possible, but adding that Odin into the fray, being that secondary third entry with how they're going to play on the attack side, has been pivotal into TSM's successes on this map of Haven. So it's not surprising to see TSM so far in this 4-0 lead on Stella's map. Either Stella, though, in their own region has also been very, very dominant, just in general within the region, but also on this map. This map in Bind has been their bread and butter, although I'm surprised it's very similar to TSM as well.
Yeah, Stella, it's been a while since we've seen them just from stage 2. Felt like a really long time ago, but that anchor always so dependable, and Alvin gets to also be within safe distance of this attack. Now post-plant, Stella know where the threat could be coming from, but as soon as that smoke dissipates at 10 HP, Alvin continues to be a threat, but the Odin just can't be steady enough for 7, and it's just GMD, but that was going to be quite a turnaround anyway at 3 versus 5. So first round win there for Stella.
Yeah, Guy from Stella gets the kill onto Guimont from TSM as the last kill for the round. But I do respect what Alvin just did there. He felt like he found a timing, especially when he got the trap kill on the first one, and then said, okay, let me try to bring some numbers down because I hear the footsteps. Maybe we can make the best on a 2 versus 2. But then that paranoia should have been thrown a little bit further back from spawn. He left himself a little bit exposed here, GMD, from that look onto the garage, but he didn't know where that second player was. But it's not too bad, right? They've won 4 rounds in a row. They've converted their bonus. Their money's still great so far, and they could still get Blade Storm for Timotino to have a full gun round this time around for TSM.
Just the recon alone was enough to force that teleport out from Zanatsu, so Timotino gets to insert here and maybe find a good early kill onto Stella, who are now kind of questioning what could be the backup plan when A has been shut down so early.
This is a difficult part, though, because yes, even though the Euro went back, Timotino also already activated his dash. So now he's going to have to play contact so that this Odin that you have from 7 could help out from the short A side if Stella does decide to commit into an A side split. So it looks like they understand that a bit. They're still jump peeking for information, but they're still defaulting around to try to force these rotates out. So there is definitely some preparation coming out from this Brazilian side, and it feels like into this mid round, you are committing into a C side split, a full 5-0 take, as now Alvin Boy will have to play the trap kills again.
It's good to kind of measure how antsy TSM are going to be with that space and how long do they want to engage in. So I like that Stella kind of slowed things down, find themselves at C yet again. And that's not the clone, that's the real Zanatsu. And that's the first blood for Stella with a post plant that's looking even better than before. And now the timing has to be ready with the Cypher that could be coming from the front, GMD on the flank. And Stella were quick to respawn and quick to double push, double swing. And TSM find themselves behind, but at a different angle this time, coming from Garage, and the Odin is loud and proud. A 3 for 7.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Get ready for that Odin, and look at him stand up right after, yelling across the board to Stella and hushing him down after Stella converted into a round. That was a 2 versus 4 retake, and I was going just to commend how Stella was so good to pivot into this neural theft that they got. They understood that they had a flank coming from the back, and that they would be weak side towards the front with less util, so push through, flush him out with the Euro Flash, and it was perfect. But look at this retake back from both the rookies. Well, should I say Voro the rookie, with 7 as the veteran for the team now, oddly enough, as he's still young right now in this roster, and now they just put Stella back into an economical deficit in this round number 7. That was a beautiful retake.
Silver lining would be how many ults out of TSM can you draw out, and just because it's like you said, a big buy difference between the two teams, but now we get to see what Stella can do. Usually on these lower buys, they like to go towards B. It wasn't successful before, but this time with flashes, fault lines, smokes in place, they've already suppressed TSM enough to get the objective down. The Hunter's Fury isn't enough to prevent it, but it is enough to shake up Stella, to force that panic. And this plant still ends up going down, but with only 3 remaining on Stella, how much can you really protect this? At least they could see it from main, but a flank yet again from GMD, who strikes at 2. And Stella are gonna have to be more aware of this in the future.
That's so nice. GMD is doing a great job finding his timing too. Look at him, just smiles like, yeah, I'm him. I'm kind of him. Don't worry about it. This is easy kills for me. We are playing against a 50 round, but that's 2 successful flanks that GMD has done so far here for the team. The idea was perfect for Stella at least. They get this plant down. They still have ults to work with. You could potentially get some picks here if Zanatsu can get the hero play right over here. He does get the pick, but still runs into the Hunter's Fury, so they don't have too much util to play outside of the site for the pulse plant. Outside of their ults, I think they save it into this round, and this is why it makes only sense now for Stella to go for this timeout. You still have these ults in favor to work with that you could cook something up, and by rushing into the B site, and now for 2 rounds in a row, you understood these fast flanks are coming in here from GMD, and that these potential 5-0 hits or 4-0 or 4-1 hits are not really going to work out if you don't insert players for these lurks to maybe cut rotations off on the side here of TSM. So a lot to talk about here into the Stella camp.
Yeah, Stella has been getting a lot of success over at C. A has been kind of difficult for them to figure out whether there's going to be some early pushes from TSM on the defense. And if Stella can even see A, TSM had been playing counter flashes so well, looking away, being able to flash back at Stella and catching them completely off guard. So I'd like to see maybe this Yoru try to maybe go for that risky TP into the backline, have some kind of backline pressure, because if you're going to play a Yoru instead of a Jet, you're lacking on the speed. So you need to find some kind of surprising factor against TSM. That's maybe not flashes. I don't know how much they can depend on that.
Actually, I was going to agree with you with the fact that they have more flashes to work with, because yes, maybe you can't explode as much with the Yoru, but if you have the Yoru in the breach, that definitely could really try to maybe take out some of these pieces away from TSM's defense. But again, I think they've realized that soft side is really towards C site. They found some successes, at least from plants on that side, and now it's back into the defaulting round. So you're trying to figure out where the Jet could be moving, and as you just saw here, Timotino tried to find that pick into the front B side, uses his dash, and that's a small advantage right now to allow Stella to move in a bit, because you don't have a Jet to escape anymore, so you have to give up a bit of space, and now Stella could really start working that map.
Fake. He needs to start getting value out of these ults for Stella. I mean, a fault line, no fault line. Chizora's already down. And this is why just the initiative from TSM is so sketchy for Stella. They could just emerge at any time, any place. So
yeah.
Dimensional Drift could just, they don't have to go in blind with Zanatsu.
It's huge that they can't do the by taking out a Rolling Thunder, but just as you said, the Dimensional Drift with the Hunter's Fury is probably the next piece of the puzzle on this chessboard that they're probably going to utilize to entry towards the C site. Like I said, Alvin Boy's already identified this, so he's already falling back. And they're also making sure they're not going to get caught here by the Hunter's Fury into the spawn. So Zanatsu's moving forward. He sees them both over here, hides inside that cage, and he gets hit by the trip. He gets CK'd!
30 seconds left.
Oh, God. Well, it's okay. Order is able to trade at the end. He still got to play it down 2 versus 2. We saw what the work Seven's been able to do with this Odin when he can get into a stable position coming from Garage, just like last time. Full util for Vora, even a recon, but not wanting to reveal their hand until it's ready to go. And the Rolling Thunder from Seven. He knew exactly where Stella was hiding. And it's just the Omen left and no more. The Odin wins at the end.
That was insane. On a 2 versus 2 again, it comes down to the double initiator. Both Vora and Seven, both of them once again going into the garage. The advantage also that they have was that they had full kits. Everybody had a hero plays on the side of TSM where they didn't really need util to support them on these peaks. So you're really feeling confident on one side, and you're just fighting toe-to-toe to allow now the full initiator kit to go for this double 2 versus 2 retake. It looks like the read, they understood that it was going back here towards this front C site to play off the site. It was quite interesting that they did that without using util to clear a backside, so they already had some sort of a tell. And now playing on Brazilian turf, we have a 7-1 scoreline for the North American team.
You just had to call that out.
Of course. At the Spheres in the chat again.
Oh, you got the shares. Not a good vibe from Stella. The 1-2 Toodaloo from Timotino. And really, that's going to be all she wrote. But Stella,
goodbyes there.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
good
right?
Bars. Unfortunately. Fortunately, depending on what side of the coin you are.
Yeah, people enjoy those. They enjoy those. It was a good thing. It was a good thing. But no, at least a planet is going to be something that we're hoping for the side of Stella to bring the economy back up for a strong buy in the next. But dude, there is no way of entry in the front of B site or A throughout this whole half since the pistol round. Again, the only successes that they've had were plants maybe on the C site as soon as we started to get a little bit of econ running for the side of Stella. But outside of that, getting outgunned, outpaced, out-macroed, out-positioned. Look at how we play here. I mean, despite these 2 kills from... Okay, hold on. I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay, well, I gotta lock in all of a sudden. Zoich is popping off, and TSM a bit trolling. I mean, they're standing up, they're talking smack, trying to get into the heads of everyone else, but we have a potential ace from Brazilian superstar. Tino is gonna give it to him at 10 HP. Are we serious?
Oh my god, Zeta Zoich just did that to TSM. I'm sure they're gonna laugh it off for a bit because at least you still have some rounds in the bag and cushioned up, but that shouldn't have been the type of loss to give to a guy like that. They've mentioned and highlighted Zoich on the desk how good he's been here for the team and his stats as an initiator of all agents, playing it like a duelist. And look at that 3rd shot on Vora. Technically, that should have been a free kill, but for him to have the heads up to fully swing out to get that pick. And I was just about to commend how good TSM was on passive angles and passive plays that they're doing. Zoich did that perfectly in the clutch.
Stella, well, they don't have to talk smack. They can just shoot better at that moment. What a turnaround. Also for the morale, and Stella are going to keep trying to hit this C side.
Oh my
but
God.
TSM have read this like a book. The shotguns. Stella have no space to work with. If they keep hitting the same site, TSM are going to be ready for it.
Wait, Alvin Boy is playing so good right now as a sentinel role for TSM. They also, once again, highlight on the desk how silent he's been, kind of like a sleeper pick for a lot of these teams. And that when Ash was mentioning him playing on Burger Boys in the past in the North American scene has been decent, but really started to activate. It almost seems the scouting that you had from NBS and from the side of TSM, it's like, okay, we see something special that could work out with this type of team. And it works out beautifully. Look at how aggressively he plays. So the smoke misses in the first place, but the fact that he jumps inside that smoke, timings the shotgun and also the range of the Rolling Thunder from that shot to still get spray kills, neural theft, and information for the team. I talk about playing soft side on C side, but he always runs back in to try to find that timing. And that's almost like an Envy style in the past of like split 2 and split 1 when they were playing as the rankers. You think they're playing off site until they find a timing to squeeze through the util being thrown by their opponents and getting success out of that. And dude, TSM are looking primed today.
And still they're trying to squeeze every second of these timeouts now, really not getting too much, really any round going besides, okay, just the casual ace from TSM. I think starting to play with their food, and as soon as they got back on their feet, they're back on beat, and that's all that matters. I wasn't expecting, I guess, this level of dominance, kind of like what the desk said. I mean, these two teams have never competed against each other before, so it's really hard to measure apples to oranges, right? And Stella just came off of a stage 2 win, so they're kind of bringing a lot of firepower here, but TSM are clearly a different beast on this map.
Yeah, the best apples to apples comparison that we have here is regionally, where these two teams have been really good in their own region. Even, you know, you have a more delicious apple on the side of Stella because they've been dominating their region nonstop. But that said, it takes a little bit of time to squeeze through. We've witnessed similar things yesterday, where we were trading maps one after the other because we just needed to ease into the game.
Our TSM have like a 2-3 man setup at B. Stella didn't even thought they could have hit a weaker site, and no, everybody was home this time.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned. They love to hit the B site when they're on lower buys. So the 2 last times they had low buys, they just tried to rush in to try to get a plant. This time, you just got 3 players ready for that. And it goes back to what we were mentioning before throughout this game, that TSM seems to have a good read of to where the hits should be coming from early in these rounds. And you're always finding these first picks, and even, you know, like, for example, when GMD swung out the garage and he got traded out, he still got one. He still found some sort of timing. So he still had a good read of where Stella is actually moving forward to. So, man, you have to commend also for TSM's preparation going into this game. And it also stems to what MBS has mentioned for this team when, you know, they won the split. They won Challengers 3 in North America. He was just saying how good this team was and how they're really here for each other. They're like a good family. They're easily coachable. And NBS does have that experience to really help out the team. He is a champs coach in 2021 with Ascend.
And speaking of families, I mean, TSM have been that core returning to Ascension. This is, well, very position that they're comfortable with. I was a little worried about that jet flying around. Timotino humbled back, though, with the op, and that's something that he still has from the previous round. And Stellar is still going to try and challenge that, really hoping to make him uncomfortable with the pair of flashes that they have. Maybe trying to get a deep teleport going. But the op is amongst the smoke, so Stella will have a hard time fighting him, I guess, unless Timotino exposes himself. And TSM are going to immediately swing. Stella stomp the ground, stomp their way into A. And Alvin Boy's on the other side of the world, so is GMT going to want to take a fight? And unfortunately, he does. And that means we could be going into a 9-3 half very soon.
Most likely will, yeah. I don't think you're going to have a scenario of a Pseudo Swords getting a 5 versus 1 or 1 versus 5 when you're all stacked inside the A side for a pulse plan. So an easy round capitalized towards the end, at least for the side here of the Brazilian team of Stella. But I gotta say, it's been a very dominant half for TSM to start. It almost looked like this last round, they just wanted to really just disrespect the utility. Nobody was shooting darts. They just wanted to swing out and try to fight players as they were trying to execute into the site. Look at this. Then 2 of them gets pinged out of that, but it's whatever. You're confident about it. You just want to try to win these fights, and it doesn't work out, but you still have a great lead.
This was such a dominant half from TSM, and just that last round was, I think, indicative that there could be a strong second half going on for Stella. But I heard we have an interview with a fan of TSM, so let's go tune in with that.
Exatamente, XRM, exatamente. Achei o maior fã da TSM do mundo. Os caras já estão trazendo gente pra torcida deles. Eu quero saber um pouquinho dessa história. Enoa, Fábio, da onde você veio e por que você é tão fã da TSM? Você tem tatu dos caras? Como é que é essa fita aí, mano?
Então, vamos lá, eu sou, como você já disse, Enoa, eu vim do interior de São Paulo, cidadezinha de Americana. Cara, o meu amor por esse time veio lá em 2015. Eu acabava vendo muita live do Hayashi, aí caía pras lives, né, do League of Legends, aí depois eu conheci a galera do CS. Me apaixonei pela galera do Rainbow Six. Hoje eu tenho a tatuagem no Mundial de 2022 da TSM.
E acompanha tudo quanto é lugar.
Oi?
Acompanha tudo onde os caras vão, você vai.
Cara, eu não entendo quase nada de Valorant, mas eu tô aqui pra acompanhar os meninos.
E tá gritando muito, velho. Essa é a grande realidade, mano. So, I'm here with one of the biggest fans of TSM. He's been, like, everywhere following TSM, basically. He's got, like, TSM tattoos and all of that. His name is Enoa.
You wanna speak English?
Nah, that's alright. We can do that in Portuguese, no problem. Então, mano, 2-0 vai fechar aqui, coisa linda. É isso mesmo? Porque você tá dando sorte.
Ah, acho que é o padrão, né? Como já disse do Zord, era o esperado, né?
E ainda farpa, velho, ainda farpa. So I asked him if it was going to be 2-0, and he said, of course, yeah, it's gonna be 2-0 easily. Então, XRM, não é todo mundo que tá triste, meu mano aqui tá suave.
Don't give him a tattoo gun. I'm scared that TSM logo on his forehead will be permanent one day, but he's sticking with them through thick and thin.
Yeah, if anything, there's imaginary targets all over their backs are on that first row of the TSM fans, because again, you are playing in a CBLOL arena where it's filled with Brazilian fans to cheer for Stella. So you heard the boos when they were trying to cheer for TSM, but those boos at least are not phasing the players in the server at all. Timotino in a hot start. First international challengers land, and is 16-6 against an international team as TSM are in the lead by 6 and looking to hit the C site with a late lurk from Alvin Boy into B.
Stella have to be comfortable now that you're in the second half, and now you have to swing out of smoke, but you force the dash out from Timotino, and they may just want to retreat off of the lurks from Alvin Boy, but now they're still ready to brawl, hoping that Stella were going to swing into them, and now we're back to a stalemate.
And that's why the insert is super important that Stella didn't have. Right now, Alvin Boy is able to listen for some information, maybe try to pick up a one-on-one, so you force these rotates across, and then you'll call the mid-round right after here for Vora. Vora was also low on HP, but they're all still staying grouped up. It almost looks like you're trying to still a fake into the C site with where their breach is going, and here's that push on the front.
Oh, just so many targets, and Alvin Boy couldn't finish off one, but it's the number call there that I think is important. So TSM just going to avoid courtyard, maybe create a fake over at A, but the real hit is going to be at C. Look how much attention Timotino has his way. And Stella fell for it. Biggest prank.
The tough part, though, is that they don't have a lot of... Well, actually, they do have some very good util to stall even more, which is why all three players that have that util for TSM are staying on site. Faultline, Paranoia, Recon Dart against a 3 versus 5. This could be a good hold.
Could be. Stella gonna go for some garage control to find angles around it. There won't be a trip or anything that could stop them. But TSM, more of their Paranoia set up for the top site. And it's gonna be a split push from Stella. It doesn't matter. Vora can take them all, but numbers are equal. Stella have found their way in, and now the spike is smoked off, but Tino just has to stop the defuse. Surely they're so injured, and he saves the day.
What a clutch again from the star duelist, Tino of TSM. And on top of that, not only getting first kills, but also clutches right now for TSM. A Swiss Army knife. The Shohei Ohtani of Ascension so far, and he's been dominating here. I mean, you have to look again on the position of those three players on site. The Paranoia blinds you, the swing from the front so that you protect your teammates. And then when it comes down to a 2 versus 2, one plays for his life so that you delay that smoke so that Tino could clutch that 1 versus 2. All beautifully, exemplary displayed by TSM to convert the 3 versus 5, and now probably converting the map.
Tino is almost dropping a 20 bomb in 13 rounds. Like he's on fire today. And I think that is starting to really seal the deal for this map 1 when you take the pistol, but Stella would have to pull off an insane comeback, maybe be off that Zanatsu flank over a mid, but it's going to be called by the trip. See what he can do. Meanwhile, TSM, the red carpet is down, but soaked in blood from Stella, who have some decent pushback, and with the smoke, it's really sectioned TSM. Now that the flank has been dealt with, TSM are going to pivot elsewhere.
At least some good damage being done into Bulldog, picked up by SW, but numbers advantage still for TSM, and they know it's an open site on C. Support from the double initiators as well, which I respect this hero play. Sidujoit is going to try to find a timing here.
And because you have GMD still in this fight, I mean, of course, a very vocal player, but that smoke delayed the fight. Stella could have really caught them by surprise. Now the recon is in. TSM know they're around the corner. They maybe get a ping, but maybe false information. TSM are closer than Stella expected. And that's just it. We're going to be heading into a very one-sided haven soon.
Oh, man. And 7 is probably going to run out of voice after game 1 of his first day of Ascension. They still have so much to do to try to qualify to the VCTs in Americas, but there is definitely some talented players, not only within TSM, but within this stage for Ascension overall. When you're looking at some teams, you know, not only from North America, but also from LATAM and from Brazil, there's been so many players moving up here to the VCTs, even if they don't qualify. One of them has played for Stella in the past, and that was Shenum, who now plays for MIBR and had a deep run for champs in this year, 2025. So to think this roster for Stella, even losing 3-11, you don't discount them for the rest of the series. There is still a lot of firepower from this team, and they could always bounce back.
Stella have to be cautious of the Outlaw, because whether they heard it last round, but should always know Tino buys that in these anti-ecos, and it's GMD with First Blood. Jig is up. It's got to be a C hit. So Stella stacked towards the left side of the map. Have to be careful how they cross, but help is not coming fast enough for Stella. TSM may have taken some damage, but they are still the captains of this ship.
Definitely see it here from Stella, and this is going to hurt. I mean, you've lost both pistols, now both bonuses. In a scenario where you're moving into the second half and you lost pistol, but you also over-rotated 5 players towards the A site, it comes to show that they felt like they had no grasp within this game so far in this first map, and over-reading things and then playing so passively in our gun round against the bonus now instead of trying to play to their own game. We know that the Brazilian teams are very good at pushing aggressively, at playing, holding that W side. The Dor Bala, by the way, the 2-tap bullets that shines throughout Brazil all the time. But it is not shining in this first map. They're even chasing for these kills for TSM because it's understandable. Bonus round for their side. Try to knock down these weapons. Zanatsu's about to get spotted. And he's down.
Oh my God. He just gets swarmed by bees. Like all 3 drop on him like that. The only hope that I have is that, okay, well, good little warm-up map there from Stella, but they also play pretty much this composition for Ascent, which is going to be our next map. But that is TSM's choice. And I wouldn't say it's the map that Stella have played a ton of or had this incredible success. All I can say is now they find their stride with this comp, and hopefully they can kind of bring that similar execution to Ascent coming up.
Unless they're able to throw a miracle this time around here, as they still have some sort of a decent buy, as they have to buy out for the rest of this map. A couple of Guardians too that can utilize these as bolt action rifles, like little ops if they can, which is why they pressure towards this B side earlier on to see if they can wallbang some players. No damage being done in that case though, and now it goes back into, okay, how do we work things out? I love the insert release that you see from Guy down bottom C for the side of Stella. Deep camera as well, so that allows here Stella to continue the stack on this A side.
May not be able to escape though, even though he has that information. Lucky for him, TSM are heading elsewhere. And a lot of these fights, TSM have simply outnumbered Stella like 3-1 a lot of these times. But it's just been from incredible reads from TSM. Great calling from Vor, and that's going to be a re-hit towards A, but Stella have not budged despite that camera information from Guy. And being in that nook, he knows it's all quiet over here, but Timotino just roars through the smoke. He does get punished, but TSM have layers to their offense, and they're just peeling Stella back, who you really didn't need it to demand perfection from the Brazilian team to pull off a miracle on this map 1, on a map that they have so much experience in. But North America is on top, and TSM loud and proud with how they finished this up 13-3.
Loud from beginning to the end, and they never were flustered of the stage.